You provided, the state provided. I'm telling you. The feeding alone, the state provided all that 800 something. The state provided all that.
Phew, that man looked like he was ready to turn the courtroom into a boxing ring. I wonder what she did. This is what happens when you allow psycho people into the courtroom. Here are some situations where this happened. Mr. Harvey says that the defendant, Ms. Jett, forced him to buy baby supplies for a child, whom he already denied. He wants the court to refund him all the money he spent on taking care of the child because he knows that he is not the father of the baby. Can Judge Lauren find a way to settle this case? Let's find out. Here is how he starts his case.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496.52 for baby supplies you say the defendant, Ms. Jett, demanded for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jett, in response to Mr. Harvey's suit, you have petitioned the court for the results of a finally proved he is your daughter's biological father.
Excuse me? She got pregnant 2 weeks after they slept with each other? That doesn't sound right. I mean, it takes only once to get pregnant, but 2 weeks seems way too early for her to say that she's pregnant.
I started dating Harvey. Every day, I actually moved with Harvey in July. Every day,
in with
yes,
him?
I did. And every day we had sex every day.
We had sex the first week I met you.
All this yapping. Geez, can one person talk? Apparently, Ms. Jett claims that she found out she was pregnant 1 month after they had been having constant sexual relations. Even that story still sounds a little too good to be true.
She found out she was pregnant. We stopped talking. She moved back to Orlando. She wrote.
Why'd you stop talking?
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Now the stories are beginning to add up. Apparently, their breakup happened as a result of Mr. Harvey cheating on her with several women. That's one truth bomb. I'm sure there's more on the way.
You need to make sure you bring me all of these things. 1, diapers. 2, baby wipes. 3, pacifier and a bottle scrubber. 5, her car seat. 6, a baby crib. 7, her clothes. 8, a breast pump so I can feed her milk.
Honestly, I'm even surprised Mr. Harvey decided to buy all the items on her funny list. It's even crazy that the baby had not been born before she sent the list to him. She has to be one delusional young woman.
Where you had doubt. When did you start putting 2 and 2 together? Be specific.
Okay, when I first met Shaw and then we stopped talking, okay, she had told me the whole time she was pregnant, she was in a relationship. She said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one.
That's actually crazy. Mr. Harvey says that his doubts started to pop up when he found out on Facebook that Ms. Jett posted a picture of the baby and tagged another man, claiming that he was the baby daddy. What's even worse is that Mr. Harvey's family members told him about the whole thing.
Why would you tag another man's name on your baby's photo?
I did not tag
She claimed that the dude out of nowhere
at all. And I actually have proof that I actually wrote the dude and I say, hey, my daughter, dad thinks that you're her father because you tagged yourself in the picture. And he said, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. She can't be serious right now. Does she think she's talking to kids? How can someone randomly pick up her phone and tag himself as the baby daddy of her child, knowing fully that the child already has a dad? Yeah, right.
Ms. Jett, so I see you brought some evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500. Her diapers is a little less than what he's suing me for. And plus her feeding is double that.
I'm suing you for what I got a receipt for.
Okay, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is...
Oh, man, I gave it to you. Whenever you needed something, every time she called me, I gave it to her, Your Honor.
It's starting to get real dicey. Ms. Jett claims that the amount Mr. Harvey is asking her to return is only a fraction of what she spends on her baby, so she doesn't understand why he's making a big deal about the whole thing.
I haven't talked to her.
He haven't seen my baby since July.
You haven't seen the baby since July. So, Mr. Harvey, your doubt is just based on a Facebook
family member.
No. After she had the baby, she was trying to get pregnant again, and then she was like, she told me she was pregnant or whatever, so I went and got her and stuff like that.
Ha ha ha. And just like that, another truth bomb hits the floors of the courtroom. Mr. Harvey says that he went through her phone and he saw some texts where she was telling another guy to pay for an abortion. Guess what? She was not pregnant at the time.
You know about this doubt.
All I know is that when she had the baby, looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes. His look alike, his brother's kids look alike.
And
our family have big eyes. Baby don't resemble me, Xavier, or any of Xavier's family.
She looks
his children look just alike from different moms. Everybody looks like the Harveys or the Highsmiths. Baby has no genes of us at all.
Could she have a point or be onto something? Mr. Harvey's aunt says that the baby does not look like anybody in their family. She very much doubts that Mr. Harvey is the father of the baby. But then again, kids don't necessarily have to look like their dad all the time.
You are
Shardae's mother.
Miss Jet's mother.
Yes.
For the knowledge you have.
He called me and told me that Shardae was pregnant.
I didn't meet.
No, he hadn't met me and told me my daughter is pregnant.
At this point, it's honestly hard to believe anybody right now. Ms. Jet's mother says that Mr. Harvey called her and told her that she should not be worried about him leaving when the baby is born. I think it's time for us to see the results.
Mr. Harvey, you are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine. It's fine, because I was in a relationship before I met him. I was in a relationship previous.
Oh, now you're in a relationship?
Before I met.
Ms. Johnson and Ms. Davis appear in court to find out if the defendant, Mr. Johnson, is actually their father. At their mother's funeral, a different man showed up, claiming he was their father, and now they want to get to the bottom of the whole drama. Mr. Johnson says that he has always had doubts, but that never stopped him from being a father to the girls. Oh well, here's how it starts.
Ms. Rogers, you say after encounter with your elementary school sweetheart, you ended up pregnant. You say the defendant has gone through great lengths to deny he is the father of your son, Christian. Mr. Stone.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say Ms. Rogers is promiscuous and
Even Judge Lauren can't hide her shock. That would definitely throw her off balance. The fact that something like that even happened at her mother's funeral is just mind-blowing. But where has the man been all this while?
Talked to, but he stopped
Yes, Your
talking
Honor.
to her.
When I walked into that, and when I walked in, she was already hugged up one of my friends.
I was not at the table.
On
I was not on the lap.
When
he came in the door, I was sitting.
walked in, we
the
caught
friend that
eyes.
he was talking was in the kitchen. I was not sitting on the lap.
Your Honor, when I walked in, we caught eyes. She was on lap.
Seems to me like the only person to blame for this misunderstanding was their mother. Ms. Johnson tells the judge that when her mother was alive, she would sometimes say that Mr. Johnson was their father, and other times she would say the other man was also their father.
The girlfriend, we had a threesome.
Jerome at first freezer. Then I realized he said in a threesome. Which one caught my surprise more? So use protection in a threesome with Ms. Rogers and another.
The other girl was my girlfriend.
That had to have broken his heart. Mr. Johnson says that their mom told him that she was cheating. She constantly nagged about him not spending time with her and how she was unhappy about it. Looks like she found a way to stay happy. Sadly, she left a mess behind.
Until after I had stopped talking to him.
I heard it happened the day before, 3 days after, and then.
No. I never slept with the
and
boy.
then when she
I
told
never
me
told no boy.
a couple
He's
of
a
months
liar.
later when she
He's
finally
a
told me she was
liar.
pregnant.
One at a time, one at a time. So your friends were talking, Mr. Stone.
Yes.
Talk about a man being the perfect example of a good father. He shows Judge Lauren evidence that states that their mother waved away her parental rights to her daughters. I wonder what type of mother would do such a thing to her children. At least they had Mr. Johnson. Thank God for that.
I had just got out of a relationship. I was nobody when I was with him.
But were there with the other friends?
In the fist with no other friends until after I stopped talking. All them boys was liars.
You
I
told
know
me
I've
yourself that
known
you would have encountered before we even had the first encounter.
First of all,
I mean, she couldn't have said it any better. Mr. Johnson is truly a good man. Even though he had doubts about the kid, he stood up to his responsibilities and took very good care of their girls. I really hope he is the father for real.
get my birthday. I know I'm having sex, so I'm like, I know because I don't want to have no more kids.
Anymore.
I have twins.
18-year children?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want no more kids because I had college. Everything was looking up, so I was like, I'll put the cap on before anything happens.
Man, that is horrible. She has to be the worst mother on God's green earth. Why would you have to be paid to see your own kids? With that type of character, it's not surprising she left them in such a messy situation.
Send me a picture
I give him, okay? I'm in the car, friend. They had been over the house. They was like, said, can you take me to my ultrasound? She said, okay. I was already in the car when we picked him up. We picked him up from his school because he was watching school. And then we went and then we went to the house and he's
honestly, they aren't wrong. Kids should not have to deal with things this complicated at a very young age. Imagine not having your mother around and still being introduced to a stepbrother. That's just very messed up. Their mom should have honestly done better.
Almost a month, okay? We started having sex at the end. the end of November.
So you say for an entire month?
No, it was in like the mid, and then like I turned the 17th, and then the baby was born.
Even if you want to say that, my baby in November, calendar, and
Let that please.
the tells you when my
That is honestly so sad. Everyone is so emotional right now. Their brother walks into the courtroom and he says that there's so much doubt surrounding the paternity of both ladies. One looks like their father and the other just doesn't fit the description. They must really hate their mom right now.
In the window of conception by the doctors.
Because of the fact of hers is that it's a possibility. You can't do that. That have you wondering, and then other information that I know that I don't think it's my child at all.
Let me sit in this. Let me tell you something. When me and him talk,
Jeez, everything just keeps stabbing Mr. Johnson in the heart. He has honestly been through so much having to raise these girls on his own. Well, let's see if the DNA results are going to mend all of that damage.
The results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics as follows. In the pictures versus Stone, when it comes to 7-month-old.
it's cool. Oh, you proved it you wanted to. You proved that I'm such the whore that you think I am. You proved it.
Ms. Hadnot here is completely convinced that Mr. Matthews' wife is the reason why he's denying the paternity of her child. She also says that Ms. Matthews was once her best friend, but once she told her that Mr. Matthews had impregnated her, she also went ahead and got pregnant by Mr. Matthews and then married him. They opened their case like this.
Mr. Matthews, you claim you have doubts about being the biological father of Ms. Hadnot's son because now you state that you and your wife hope to put an end to your results are revealed.
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Hadnot, tell me how this even came to be. So at first you were
I
in a
slept with
relationship.
James. Yes, it was just like a friendship, and then we ended up sleeping together. But she was at the house where we slept together at.
Then Mr. Matthews confirms that he had a sexual relationship with Ms. Hadnot. He then says that he and his wife were best friends before that. But Ms. Hadnot doesn't agree with this version of events at all.
Just that
How
one
long?
time.
Just that one time?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes, ma'am.
So you first had an intimate relationship with Ms. Hadnot.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you started one with Ms. Matthews,
Well, me and
her best friend.
we've been me and my wife been best friends before that.
This seems to support Ms. Hadnot's point. She was in a relationship with Mr. Matthews, got pregnant by him, and then Ms. Matthews got into the picture. That's the problem here. Can you imagine how betrayed Ms. Hadnot must have felt when she found out that her best friend was having a baby by her baby daddy?
I want to understand the circumstances surrounding you when you found out you were pregnant.
I found out
And
I
you
was pregnant.
immediately
Yes.
knew it was Mr.
No.
Okay,
I
tell
got
me
it.
what happened.
Somebody else around the time that I slept with James that I could see my son. I slept with another dude. I can admit that.
Oh well, Ms. Hadnot. It looks like it's scientifically impossible to be sure of who the father of this child is, but Ms. Hadnot doesn't want to accept this. She says she knows who she slept with and is certain the father of her child is Mr. Matthews.
She's always been after money, Your Honor. It's been times when she, can you take me here? Can you take? It's always been about money, finance. She's a gold digger.
So you not only felt like she could have, well, she did sleep with the guy she admits to. You said could be some other people too that she's not admitting.
Straight to the point, I want to know if this son is my son.
What is that doubt, baby?
At the hospital.
Okay then, Mr. Matthews, you're a straight shooter. I like that. Mr. Matthews also says that he doubts he's the child's father because he was only called to the hospital after the baby had been born. And not only was he called after the birth, but Ms. Hadnot didn't call him herself.
But if you had doubts, you should have been and told me a long time ago. Instead of sitting there talking
You
about
should have
it's
been
your
telling
baby.
me you had slept with
You
another
didn't
man.
ask. Hey, you was a one-night stand, and that's what it was.
Yeah, well, so obviously if I was a one-night stand, who else was a one? So what kind of woman is that, Your Honor?
Mrs. Matthews, do you know how unlikely and impossible it is to sleep with someone without protection mistakenly get pregnant, mistakenly having that baby, and then mistakenly marry them? There's no way you didn't mean that. Nobody can make that many mistakes at a stretch.
And she was my everything. Terry was my heart. I was there for Terry through all her stuff.
And I
no
was
matter
there for
what.
her.
Her grandma do everything for me, but she betrayed me. So what type of friend is that? What I did and what I did wrong.
Ms. Terry Matthews is the sort of friend you never want to have. She might wake up one day and mistakenly set your house on fire, and then come to court and say it was all an innocent mistake and that she didn't mean to pour gasoline on your roof.
Ms. Hadnot, your best friend comes to you and says, I'm pregnant by the same guy too? What did you think?
To tell you the truth, Your Honor, and I told her straight up, you know what? You can have that, because I never wanted him.
You wanted me, you pushed me
It
away
don't
since
matter. That
high
was my
school.
best friend.
Mr. Matthews is just acting obtuse here. Does he really think that Ms. Matthews and Ms. Hadnot were going to remain best friends after he got them both pregnant? How would that even work? Now, to make things worse, Ms. Matthews tells Mr. Matthews that Ms. Hadnot's baby might not be his.
Denied or said that Jamari was not James' son. I get on James when he get to getting in his feelings about his doubts. And I'll get to saying, James, let's go get, let's do this and let's do that. I push that. I'm the one that goes to the door.
Tell me himself.
Whoa, the
It
type
shouldn't
of-
have to go through Terry.
Horrible, horrible behavior from Mr. Matthews. And it gets worse because the 4-year-old in question is old enough to ask serious questions about his father.
Why my daddy wanted a DNA test?
Obviously,
He's an innocent child. He didn't do nothing to James at all while I was growing up, at all. Or my mother. So I don't want my son to not have his father. He's supposed to have both of his parents. We need to learn how to get along for Jamari.
That's right. There's no reason an innocent child should be suffering because of the mistakes adults make. At this point, you sort of feel sorry for Ms. Hadnot and may think that the child is Mr. Matthews' biological son. Anyway, it's time to see what the DNA results say about all of this.
Mr. Matthews, you are the father.
Thank you. I hate you, I promise. I'm done. I don't want my son to be around you.
Hold on.
Ms. Graves claims that her marriage is about to take a nosedive and there's a high chance her husband is going to leave her. She wants to prove that her husband is the father of her 19-year-old daughter. Her husband, Mr. Baker, says that she told him that 2 men could possibly be her daughter's father, and that's why he doubts the paternity. The case starts like this.
Ms. Graves, you state your marriage is on the rocks and on the brink of divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing your husband, Mr. Baker, for a paternity test to prove that he's your 19-year-old daughter, Vanisha's biological father.
If she's staying off like that, then her marriage must be in some serious mess. She says that her husband is not acting like the man he should be, and it's almost as if she does not feel his presence in the house.
You're saying 22 years ago you had a daughter,
Yes, ma'am.
and for a year he thought it was his biological daughter.
Yes.
But you were honest that it may or may not be. Ultimately, you had a DNA test and it was determined that in fact he was not the biological father of your older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the reason why you believe he has doubt concerning your daughter, Vanisha.
Correct.
Unbelievable. She's actually upset? Haha, what a woman. Apparently this isn't the first situation. Ms. Graves had a child for another man, and after her husband took care of the child for a year, he found out that he was not the father. It's no surprise he has doubts about this one.
Mr. Baker, why are you cursing a 19-year-old girl? What is this behavior?
I mean, verbal words come out due to the fact that, you know, hey, she felt like I hurt her. So, you know,
He does me the same
So
way.
what I'm
That's
trying to
the problem.
understand is, Ms. Graves, you believe this treatment, the way that he interacts with your daughter is based upon his doubt.
Yes.
There's no lie there. She is right. Yes, she might have been out of line for cheating on him, but he has no right to curse at her kids. They are children, for crying out loud. He is claiming not to know how to love has to be the worst excuse I have ever heard.
You have always told him he's Vanisha's father.
Well, when she was 5,
I mean, I made
went to
mistakes,
him.
though.
I went to him to his mother's house, and I said, Michael, I seen some resemblance. So I went to him and I said, Michael, Mr. Baker, I think we need to do a paternity test.
Damn. I'm still trying to understand how these guys even got together to make a baby when they can't agree on anything in the courtroom. Well, it sure looks like their trust issues have been there way before their daughter came into the world.
What about when she was 10?
when she was 10,
And we were together,
Okay.
and she was calling you
You
daddy.
told me that she was
and-
my father. I mean, I
No,
was her father.
you told me
You
that
told
she
me that.
looked like you.
Okay,
with similarities.
I said that.
Okay.
I know I said
Okay,
that,
then.
but I didn't.
Since she walked into the courtroom, all Ms. Graves has been doing is spitting facts. From the looks of it, her husband is just giving every excuse to justify his doubt. What's sad is the fact that the little girl has to see both of them yell at each other all because they made stupid mistakes.
He doesn't even know how to treat me with that. He's not passionate. He cussed me out. You know, I'm doing chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood pressure shot
It was
through the
basically a
roof.
blame on me, though.
Yes.
Please spell it out to him because he doesn't seem to understand at all. Ms. Graves has a very serious medical condition, and all he is worried about is the fact that the child might not be his. Does he not at least care about his wife's health? Jeez.
Specifically as it
Like I
relates
say,
to her.
it's not just me, it's two other guys, you know? And the timing, yeah, you might say that we were here and there, but at the same time, the timing, it could match up and it could not match up.
The two other men, how did you find out about these?
I mean,
two
she
other
told me about them.
Phew. The surprises in this case just never end. Apparently, Ms. Graves told Mr. Baker that there are two other men who could be the father of her daughter. If that's the case, how then does she know that Mr. Baker truly is the father of her child?
Vanisha's birth date is what?
July 28, 95.
So when you put in her birth date, July 28th, 1995, and you press calculate.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, it still doesn't make any sense if we're being honest. She slept with the other men, the same time she slept with Mr. Baker, and it all happened during the window of conception. At this point, I think only the results can't help us solve this case. Let's see what they have to say.
Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
You're my daughter no matter what. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I just want to... I'm sorry.
Do you know that feeling when your best friend goes running to your boyfriend to tell them all about your different escapades with other men? Well, Ms. Stremke knows that feeling very well. Her friend told her partner, Mr. Jaramillo, about her different attempts with other men, and now Mr. Jaramillo doubts that both of his children belong to him. It all began like this.
Jaramillo, you claim your doubt is valid because you were present when another man impregnated Miss Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's right, Mrs. Stremke. Children are extremely wise, and you don't want your child to grow up in that sort of situation. Mr. Jaramillo says this is regrettable, but he really can't do anything about it since the paternity issues get brought up in fights.
Feel that those are his kids.
You know, when you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my sons.
Now, Mr. Jaramillo had never met this friend before, but he believed every word she said. Ms. Stremke, of course, knew the friend in question and argued that it was all a lie.
Which I really don't understand, because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you know, you'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
Another thing is that Ms. Stremke and Mr. Jaramillo had only been together for about a month before Ms. Stremke told him that she was pregnant. To make things worse, Naviana was born about 3 weeks early, which makes it seem like the child truly doesn't belong to Mr. Jaramillo. Instead, it's for the man Ms. Stremke slept with before meeting him.
Time when
That was about the time that the other males were present.
I was
Then,
upfront with you and told you that there was one other person before we had
you
gotten
said
together.
one other person, and then came another fellow that your best friend told me about.
I had never slept with anybody but one person besides you, and that was before we had gotten together.
What about the second daughter? What doubts does Mr. Jaramillo have about her? And exactly how did he get those doubts? The answer will probably surprise you.
To a conversation where I was like, okay, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore. And that's when we ended up deciding to like spice up our sex life.
Mr. Jaramillo's friend didn't come over for pancakes. He came over for a different sort of cake. Mr. Jaramillo invited his friend to have intercourse with his wife, and none of the 3 people involved used any sort of protection. Imagine if they did. It would have protected both of them from showing up in paternity court today.
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Miss Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's going to do something, it has to be on the spot.
Look, if you want to spice up your marriage, here's some good advice. Don't invite other people into it. If you want to add more excitement to your marriage, go see a movie. Get on a jet and go for a vacation. Anyway, let's find out who the child's birth father is.
When it comes to 4-year-old Naviana Jaramillo, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father. The next result. When it comes to 8-month-old Alexis Jaramillo, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Ms. Ebony Parker appears before the judge, suing Mr. Morton and his girlfriend, Ms. Lemon. The lawsuit is for them denying the paternity of her child, Aaron, after having sex with both of them severally. She claims that the man's girlfriend turned him against her because she has been unable to get pregnant herself. It all started like this.
Claim Mr. Morton fathered your 7-month-old son, Aaron, while in a relationship with his current girlfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say the only reason he denies paternity is because his girlfriend turned him against you because she's been unable to conceive a child with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow, that's just crazy. Ms. Lemon says she and her boyfriend had sex with his baby mama because Ms. Parker was lonely. Also, she says her freakiness led her to make such a decision.
The only reason why she was able to have sex with us is because I asked my boyfriend to have sex with her because she was lonely. My desires, me and my little freakiness, I said, my boyfriend, can you have sex with your pregnant baby mother?
It appears that Aaron was born when the pregnancy was 7 months old, and that made the calculations a bit confusing. However, the accuser is confident about her claims, and there is nothing in this world that's going to change her mind.
I'm not tripping off of that. I know that that's my son's father. I know. He looks exactly like my other son.
And so you're doubtful, Mr. Morton, because you say there's a timing issue.
Yes, she's
So I wanna
supposed to have got
understand your
pregnant
doubt.
in May.
Damn! In the heat of the moment, Ms. Lemon says Ms. Parker's boyfriend swears that he's Aaron's father, but the accuser had to continuously remind him that he's not, and that she had sex with him while she was already pregnant.
Yep, I'm clocking it.
You
Just
can't
like you
clock
clock
it, though,
mine. I
baby.
can.
You can't.
We
You
downtown.
can't clock
The
it.
guy walks up to her. They talking and everything, and he swears up and down, Aaron is his. She had to keep reminding him that it's not yours, boo. It's not yours.
Is Mr. Morton actually Aaron's father, or is Ms. Parker just forcing her son, or him? At this point, that remains a mystery. I mean, there seems to be a lot of uncertainty in the courtroom, and for some reason, I don't believe a word coming out of their mouth.
Before my boyfriend went away, I was pregnant by him. That's what they're getting confused. I had a whole miscarriage, Your Honor. A whole miscarriage by this man.
Now all of a sudden.
So what you're saying is,
After she got pregnant, she told him it wasn't his because she had a sonogram saying she was 13 weeks pregnant. However, when she went for her first prenatal appointment, a fetal test confirmed that she was 8 weeks pregnant instead.
I told him I was pregnant, and I did. I'm not gonna lie. I told him, this is not your baby. Being as though I have a sonogram telling me I'm 13 weeks. So when I go to my first prenatal appointment and they give me a fetal assessment, and they say, no, miss, you're 8.
Aha! Now, when she showed him the pregnancy sonogram, he didn't believe her. In fairness, how could he? Although he didn't follow her for the appointments, he was there when she gave birth to Aaron. Bittersweet is what I would call that.
now I really believe it's your child. What was your response?
I had my doubts because of what she had told me.
You still had doubts. Did you participate? You have a child with her already. Did you
Yes.
participate in the birth? Were you there through the pregnancy?
I didn't go to none of the appointments. I ain't show up to none of the...
The accuser filed a lawsuit against him for harboring feelings for her son, but not accepting his responsibilities over him. Perhaps she's right for filing a lawsuit against him for showing affection to the baby, but not taking full responsibility for his well-being.
That he steps up to the plate and takes care of other people's children,
Yeah, so
but
why
does
should
not properly take care of baby Aaron is the basis of your suit.
Right.
You're suing for $2,047 in child care expenses, things you've spent on baby Aaron.
Ms. Mary, the defendant's mother, appears before the judge to testify that he didn't do anything for the first child when he was born. So she doesn't want him to repeat the same ill act for Aaron. His mom genuinely believes that the newborn is his kid, and that's why she's appearing before the judge to testify.
Thank you so much for joining us. What's your name, ma'am, stated for the record?
Marie Dunlap.
Ms. Dunlap, you are?
I'm Mr. Morton's mother.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
You're Mr. Morton's mother?
Yes.
What do you have to add, ma'am?
Is Mr. Morton's mother right about her testimony? Is he right about his claims of not being Aaron's biological father? Let's find out together.
Mr. Morton, you are Aaron's father.
Thank you. I told you, like, I'm not no fun. Thank you. I need that paper so I can go down child support.